It is Sports in Focus. James Rib Shack focusing some wrestling tonight. Got Coach Jed Cox with us. Coach, everybody got blonde. How'd the blonde hair come about? All this blonde hair we see.
We've had kids the last couple of years want to do something different to stand out at the state tournament, and unfortunately I got caught up in it this year. I made a bet with the team that they got 7 kids to qualify, that I would join them in the hair dyeing, and they ended up with 9, so there was no debating. I had to follow through.
That's pretty good. You got like 9 guys qualifying. You got 4 guys in the championship round. That speaks well. That's how you pick up those points.
Yes, sir. We the semifinal round, championship round was worth 9 points, and we really turned a corner there and kind of separated ourselves from that second place team.
Yeah, you beat a tough Jack Britt team too.
Yes, sir.
That makes a difference. I think Jack Britt had a guy in the finals as well, and one of the final matches had a guy there. And you had 4 guys in the finals, and your champions were Garrett Church, and your other champion was David Crumby, right?
Yes, sir.
And 126 and also 182.
Right.
Is that right?
That's correct.
And in your 106, that was Carson Smith. He finished second.
Right.
And then your 220 was Evan Surgeon. He also got a second place.
Yes, sir.
Very impressive, Coach. How did all this come about? I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. I know that. It takes some time.
These guys do a lot of work outside of Southeast and outside of the norm. They are wrestling at these off-season events every weekend they can. They're traveling other states and getting tougher competition when they can find it. Most of the guys wrestle 3 or 4 days a week outside of season, so it really paid off.
One of those articles I read about is like the guys are wrestling in all season. Let's say all day long events on weekends, even during the off season, which is keeps them busy.
That's correct. There's even there's one at Northwest Guilford this weekend. So it's just kind of never ends.
What umbrella does that fall under, the event at Northwest Guilford this weekend? Is that like an AAU, or what does that fall under?
Yeah, it's a type of AAU kind of thing. It's not necessarily AAU, but it is. It's that type of deal where kids from 5 years old to all the way up to college and above can compete if they want.
And that's how you get all these during the season, all the tournaments. You get these outstanding records. You had one record, I think one of your guys maybe about 55-1 or something like that, or 51-1, and that was Garrett Church. I mean, 52 matches. You have to do a lot of wrestling to get that many in.
Right. He's actually 54-1.
54-1 now.
And we actually missed a tournament due to the snow, and so he and William Crumby, who's not here tonight, but he and William Crumby have tied the single season wins record at Southeast, which is exciting. Garrett Church was 54-1. His only loss was to a boy from Northwood. His last name's Queen, and he had beat him 2 weekends, twice before that. So it was a loss that hurt, but it wasn't one that we felt like he got outmatched by. So
was it what you expected to see this year, or was it a surprise to you along the way?
We knew we had a shot. We figured we had a shot, and then going into the tournament, I'm looking to take a trophy home, being top 2, I hope. The West Forsyth guys were dual team state champs, and they had a rough regional. They qualified 9, just like we did.
So a few of their guys got knocked out that may have had an effect on some other outcomes.
Their defending state champ did not qualify for the tournament.
That's amazing. What weight class was he in?
It was 113.
Wow.
And
because looking back on those numbers you just gave us and talked about, in those dual matches, they were like 45-0, or just a huge, great record there. And probably didn't lose a match. Like, they were tough in those duels.
They were excellent. They beat us really solid, fair and square, and in the quarterfinals of the dual team playoffs, and they had a tough regional, and we knew that Jack Britt was going to be tough. They beat us in the state dual finals last season, and like I said, we thought we had a shot, and then when Carson Smith won his semifinal match,
he beat that Dylan Cook kid out of Ragsdale.
Yeah, that was a huge upset.
One of those signature wins there, right?
Exactly. Dylan's beat us all season. Last weekend he beat us 4-0 or something like that.
Did you beat them in the duels, Ragsdale?
We did.
Yeah,
we did. And when Carson could score those semifinal points for us, and then we saw Jack Britt's defending state champ and #1 kid both lose in the semis, it started to become a little bit clear. We really had a more than just a shot.
Busy time, though, because you're at number 1. You got Smith at 7, Ragsdale at 13. So good local representation there.
Yeah, Smith had a great year. They probably had more qualifiers this year than they've had in 30 years, I bet. Their coaches do a great job, and a lot of their kids are training with my kids in the off season too. So
You got one of the guys over there, the assistant coach, Joey Gladson, former Southeast Guilford guy, and
Yep.
he was lucky to get past the conference, get into conference championship when he was high school. Didn't make that big of an impact himself as a small kid back then, but he shows sometimes you don't have to be that great of a wrestler if you study it and love the sport and passionate about it. You can become a good coach too.
right, Joey actually wrestled for my dad at Southeast, and he does a great job over there.
Did you wrestle also in high school?
I did. I wrestled Andy Chappell at Ragsdale.
So you're at Ragsdale.
I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting. So you wrestled at Ragsdale, but your dad coached at Southeast.
He did.
There was no way to get it worked out. You could go to Southeast, I guess.
It worked out for the best. I don't know that, like, my dad and I got to coach together for 8 years, and we became very close, but it was a little tumultuous before that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
so I think it worked out for the best. Andy and I are still very, very close.
He had
and,
some good teams at Ragsdale, too.
and he's a mentor and, a second dad to me.
That's pretty good stuff. What weight class were you in at Ragsdale back in the day?
152 and 160.
Some fun competition days back then?
Yeah, we had fun.
I remember, gosh, there was a guy named Cox at Ragsdale back many moons ago. He was a huge heavyweight kid. It's been so long. The Cox name, though, pretty strong in wrestling with your dad and yourself among Southeast and Ragsdale over the years. Very strong. Competition in the Metro 4A, was that competition tough enough to have you guys ready for what you did down the road? I know you had some good competition from Southern Alabama because they had a couple of guys in the States did pretty well, but what about
Right.
the overall competition in the Metro?
We are always ready when Randy D'Angelo and the Southern Alamance Patriots want to come wrestle. We have to be on our A game. Those guys know what they're doing. Smith, like I said, they had a good season. It's probably the best one they've ever had. I think they probably thought they had a little bit more for us than they did, and we really peaked out and had a lot of guys show up that night. That was kind of a surprise when we beat Smith. Grimsley's doing a great job. Coach James over there is getting some stuff rekindled.
That's over Grimsley?
Yes, and the coach at Page, Coach Ashley's in his first year, so he's kind of rebuilding a place
A couple
over
of
there.
good individuals at Page the past few years.
Right.
Grimsley, that's not the old Coach James from years ago, is it?
This is his little brother.
Oh, his younger brother, Rodney
Yes.
James at Grimsley years ago. I remember him back when he was like a 126 back in the 70s. That guy was one of the best wrestlers ever come through this neck of the woods, they might say, I guess.
Yeah, his little brother Ray Sun's been there 2 years now, and he's trying to get it going.
All right, now the States, they do it the same way they do in the season. In the States, they start with the lower weight classes, right? Because during the season, you may draw and decide where you start the matches. You may start at 185 and go all the way back through there. But in the States, they start lower weights and work up, right?
Right. For any kind of dual meet setting where we're wrestling head to head, we're going to draw out of a hat to see what weight classes start at. And then if anytime we're in a tournament setting where the individuals are making their way through a bracket, we start at 106.
It's good to get the good kick in from Carson Smith to at 106 because you get the good boost at the lower weights to start things off. The guys above you see you got points down below them. The guy encourages them and pushes them harder too.
Excellent. Yes, exactly right. Now for the state finals this year, they've done something different where they started to draw which state final would start from. And I think that's beneficial. I don't think it's fair to the heavyweights that everybody goes home. And so it was nice that we started at 132 and David got to be the last match, win his state title. And we actually figured we locked up the team title after the Jack Britt heavyweight loss. So it was exciting.
So a very strong final day, though. That's what did it for you.
Yes, sir.
But you had to have some
Absolutely.
other guys underneath there giving you some bonus points in those other weight classes, too.
We had 9 bonus points in the first round, which, me and one of my assistants, Stephen Harrell, we couldn't have drawn up a better round. I mean, Carson pinned a regional champ first round that was previously undefeated, and I think Trevor Miles scored a bonus point, major decision. Both Crumbies got tech falls, and Garrett got a major, and Evan pinned. So we got 9 bonus points first round, and we won the tournament by 8. So
yeah, it helps.
It's hard to beat.
It's the difference right there. Quickly, these 4 with us tonight. We know about Carson Smith. Give us a sentence or 2 on him.
Carson is a freshman. He was very, very eager to listen and learn when he came to us, and we were super excited. He was one of those kids that we sat down and said, look, buddy, you're either not going to go to the state tournament or you're going to be in the finals. And so, he started kind of paying attention, and he has a lot of talent.
It's a good thing to have the next 3 years, too.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to him.
He may be at 126 or somewhere in the future, maybe be
I think so, yeah.
a little further up the line, make grow a little bit for you, too.
Absolutely.
How about David Crumby?
David and his twin brother Will, they kind of speak for themselves. I'm glad that we have banners in our wrestling room with the state champ's name on them, and I'm glad one of them's got a Crumby, because those guys definitely deserve it. I tell them that they earn what they deserve, but these guys really deserved it. They put a lot of work in, and I'm super proud of that guy.
What about Garrett Church? One time it seemed like he was more of a football man. He was more of a wrestling man now for you.
Garrett started out kind of frustrating as a freshman and just kept progressing. He was a point away from qualifying for state his sophomore year, and his junior year he won a match at the state tournament, and then this year he gave up 2 takedowns. I don't think I'll ever coach another kid that's only going to give up 2 offensive scores the whole season. So he's a special guy, yeah. Special kid.
Very defensive kind of guy, isn't he? Not much
he's just
given.
tough to score on,
Wow.
It's hard to beat a guy you can't score on.
You're right about that. What about Evan Surgeon?
Evan came on big time last year. He had 32 pins, I think is what he told me. That's unheard of. I think he's up in the 90 career wins right now. He wrestled JV as a freshman, and just really started growing and getting leaner and leaner, and the guy's committed. He's leaving football games on Friday nights, and he's going to get on a bus to go wrestle all day Saturday and then practice on Sunday. That's just the way he's wired right now. So he just does a lot of work.
What's it mean to the Southeast Guilford Athletic Program? The first state championship maybe in a while. They had a lacrosse title several years back, I think. Had Coach Slayton's baseball title back in '69. But always about the Southeast, they've had great success in athletics. Sometimes had trouble getting the big one, winning that big win, getting that big game. You guys got it. What's it mean to the program?
Yeah, the lacrosse won something in 2000, and then Coach Tyree's indoor track won in 2012. And then we have a baseball title, and then we have a football title in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that was a Division II title in the 80s too with Coach Kemp back in the day. Yeah.
We are super excited. It hasn't really sunk in because we're not around a bunch of teams that win a lot, and we want that to change across the board. And we're looking forward to getting our rings in a couple weeks and walking around the hallways and having kids gawk at them and wanting one for wrestling, but wanting one for football and baseball and track too.
Do it in other sports.
Yeah.
What was the celebration dinner? What did you guys eat the night after you won the title?
We went to Isabella's Pizza right up the road.
Oh, at the shopping center there?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
We went up there, and Kathy's a good friend. She gave, I guess she gave us about 8 pizzas on the house, and we sat up there and played the jukebox and ate chicken wings and pizza.
You got to let it soak in a little bit, don't you?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if you don't let that soak in, the memories are going to be gone too soon. If you don't
Absolutely.
appreciate why it's there, it's just so hard getting that done.
That's right.
Making that happen. I guess the kids could eat all they wanted that night, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
What do you have these guys do to lose weight?
I like for my guys to drill when they lose weight. I like for them to wrestle. I think the best way to get in shape and the best way to get your mind set to do something hard is to wrestle. And some guys will run, some guys will spit.
A lot of spit, yeah.
Some guys will try different things, I guess, but I'm really big into drilling.
You don't want
into
to put
wrestling.
that sweatsuit on those guys, Jake.
No,
Not that
no.
plastic sweatsuit. Those days are long gone, right?
those were acts.
Those
when I
were
was in high
dangerous,
school.
really
Yeah,
dangerous, I think.
They really were.
I read about this guy, Bob Backlund, who was a professional wrestler, also played football at South Dakota State. He said he lost 40 pounds 1 year in 1 week, going from college football to college wrestling, and lost 40 pounds. Said he spit and starved himself, but you hate to have to go that route. Like I say, if you lose at wrestling, you just got to make sure you don't replenish it when you get through that day. You don't go in and indulge too much food or too much fluids. After you do all that work, lose that weight, you don't replace it too quick.
Right.
Well, is it safe to say now Southeast Guilford a wrestling school? You guys are a wrestling school now?
I don't know if I go that far. I hope we are. And
You'd like to think so.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that our middle school program and our guys coming up are excited to continue.
What do you say the best match you saw all year among your matches? What was the best match you maybe saw all year? Was that a possibility?
I got two. I got one when we wrestled Smith early December. You know, we were ready. And
I think I was at that match.
I think that we had a lot of sophomores and a lot of guys that never wrestled varsity really step up, and it kind of set the tone for the rest of the year. I think our Ragsdale match was killer. We had some big upsets and we had some adversity to overcome, and I was just super proud that our guys got the job done that night.
What's your favorite pinning hold or your favorite move?
I'm pretty big on guys finding cradles from neutral defense. Mm-hmm. So when a guy attacks your legs, it's a pretty good spot to attack in a cradle and score some back points. Try to get two big scores together.
So it's like that head and the side snowplow cradle. Put it in your head in the center of the guy's ribs. If you get that, you have to be in a proper position to get it and finish it off. But if you could bring a professional wrestler in to speak to your kids, who'd you bring in? Do you bring in Ric Flair, Kurt Angle, Hulk Hogan, or John Cena? Who do you bring in?
I go Kurt Angle. He's a two-time NCAA
champ. Some backing it up.
Yeah.
I tell you, those other guys would be interesting too, though, wouldn't they?
They would.
Just hear what those guys have to say. Ric Flair's son wrestled well back in his day before he passed away. Reed Flair, he wrestled. I remember when you heard about some guy, he was on the phone. I think it was Joey Gladstone. He said, Ric Flair's at Southern Guilford. His son's wrestling a match day. Back in those days.
It was I was there that day.
Yeah, Reed Flair, and he did well. Then he passed away later, which shows you can better enjoy it while you can too.
Yeah.
Typical practice. Take us to a typical practice at your place.
I try to make our practices completely different every day. I try to warm up different most every day. I might do the same warm up for a week and then I'll completely change it the next week. We do a lot of drilling to start. We normally start on our feet with the leg attacks. 3 times a week we're doing mat returns where we're standing behind the guy and we need to bring him back down to the mat. That's a situation they're in a lot. And we do live wrestling normally at the end of practice, and then we'll condition.
Conditioning comes as a separate part of what you're doing with the drills?
Yes, sir. Sometimes I'll use a drill to condition, but most of the time, 9 times out of 10, we're running or doing monkey rolls or different kind of things.
We had this little drill we did back in the day. I keep bringing back some old memories, but man, we did this drill where you put the guys down in his regular on the mat stance. You put your chest on that guy's head there around the top of his body, and you do this little spin drill. You spin, and by the end of the time you're spinning, you're so tired. That guy, you get ready to grab the guy, you can hardly move to grab the joker. That's a lot of work, though. A lot of work.
There is.
How you became the coach you are today, and how your team reached the level of performance they reached. How did all that come about? You think? How they found themselves? You think this year at the state, being the state champs?
I just feel like we were just kind of due. We wrestled this ridiculous schedule where we're going to just the biggest and baddest individual tournaments you could find. I mean, we came in second. We haven't won a tournament all year until the state tournament.
Wow.
And we were second.
You were building.
Yeah, we were second at the Tiger Classic at Chapel Hill with 46 teams. We were second at the Sarah Wilkes tournament with 30-some teams, and I mean, we were second all season long, and we just kind of got used to the big stage. And my kids understood the points that you score, win, and the bonus points that you need, and what it's going to take to progress through that bracket.
Some of those tournaments, sometimes those are some of the things some of the regular observers don't see. They may see the end result in the championship of the states, but they may not see those other tournaments you're working to get where you got to last weekend.
Right. It was a grind. It was a grind on me and my coaches and my family, and I'm sure it was a grind on the kids and their families. But luckily, Lord kept us healthy, and it was a lot of fun.
Coach, good job this year.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Let's get our wrestlers in now. We'll start.